Welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, September 14th, 2020. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves says he is pleased with the prospects for additional job growth in the state with the coming on stream of multiple tourism plans, some of which are already under construction. Contributing to the issue at hand discussion program on WeFM yesterday, the Prime Minister listed a number of hotels which he said will pump some $300 million into the economy, providing short-term and long-term jobs.
100 million, but it may be closer to 400 million. You're talking about a number putting your head up close to $1 billion EC investment. That would create, by June next year, Vincentians who overseas as carpenters and masons and the like need to be coming back, because we're not going to have enough of them to supply for these services. And that's why a lot of young people, I've been urging them to go to the technical institutes, to go to the technical college.
The Prime Minister explained that the economic model has had to be revamped from a primarily monocrop economy to a structured one that is more service-oriented.
But in order to build the services sector, two important things were required. First, in our multi-island state, you needed a jet airport in Canada and you needed an international airport in St. Vincent. Without them, you would say bye-bye to any serious thrust towards tourism. And secondly, you had to have an education revolution to build the potential of people. And once you educate the people, you have to make sure that they were healthy and fit. Therefore, you had to deal with health and wellness. You had to certainly deal with housing, and essential social safety net had to be strengthened for persons who are displaced from the monocrop agriculture.
Dr. Gonsalves says despite the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, he has high hopes for progress within the tourism sector over the next several months.
We're optimistic that people are going to build up, and this Caribbean region has done fairly well, and St. Vincent and Grenadines particularly well with COVID, handling COVID, and that will be a safe area for people to come to, and we have to market that. That is a big thing, which we have to market. We'll have some restrictions, yes, but it's a safe place, relatively, comparatively speaking. So I wanted to make those points about the landscape of the movement of the economy, and I want to make the points about the way in which you have to carry out this essential revolution in the economy while holding things together.
Minister of Agriculture Subota Caesar said that St. Vincent and the Grenadines is leading the charge in the medical cannabis industry in CARICOM. The minister was speaking today during a tour of the testing lab of the Medical Cannabis Authority, as well as several cannabis operational sites. He noted that St. Vincent and the Grenadines is also out front in development of a modern medical cannabis industry.
The only word that could describe what we have here today is a transformation. And we deserve to give the MC a special commendation for that. When the history of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the history of this period is recorded, it is going to reveal that the work of the MCA, the work of this government in establishing a modern medicinal industry, is one of the most transformative things as it pertains to development that we have ever pursued as a nation and as a people. I want to briefly speak about the journey traversed and to posit a few ideas and commendations as to the way forward.
Minister Caesar is projecting that the cannabis industry would have greater stability than the banana industry, which found it difficult to compete with bananas from North Africa and Latin America.
Remember that we have a history in St. Vincent and the Grenadines of growing many different crops. And in 1992, the banana industry grossed $120 million. In 2010, however, because of climate change, because of the removal of preferences for the banana industry, and the entire revolution of the marketplace with banana, and I know that there are some persons who are here listening to us who are working with the Medicinal Cannabis Authority who worked in the banana industry, we were not able to compete with Latin America and West Africa. As a government, we had to search for new beginnings.
Minister Caesar commended the traditional marijuana growers, saying that without them, a medical cannabis industry would not have been possible.
Every turn I want to thank the traditional cultivators, because without the traditional cultivators, and Dr. Thompson said it quite clearly, would not have been here today. In some countries, there is a veritable war going on between traditional cultivators and the authorities. But in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have established a department of liaison officers, persons who come from within the bowels of the traditional cultivators community, who are ensuring that when they come to the fore, that they are addressed at the highest governmental level.
Fogging alone cannot get the job done, but an integrated approach with the assistance of the public will go a long way in the fight against the Aedes aegypti mosquito, the vector responsible for spreading dengue. So said Public Health Supervisor Shamanti Laban, as the Public Health Department stepped up activities to control the deadly vector. Over the past few weeks, there has been an increase in the number of persons contracting dengue, which can be fatal. As such, health officers have ramped up activities, which include house-to-house visits in targeted communities as part of efforts to identify and destroy mosquito breeding sites. The health officers are also conducting fogging operations to kill the adult mosquito. Laban said both activities are equally important.
The workers they're doing premises inspections, which involves a number of activities, which includes source reduction, such as the physically overturning of water containers. So they do treatments, which includes the use of BTI, which is a biological agent, which kills the larva side of the mosquitoes, and they're educating the householders on the importance of preventing mosquitoes from breeding on their premises or their compound. On afternoons, the unit would also be involved in fogging operations. Again, targets the adult mosquito, so both of them need to work hand in hand in order to eliminate the mosquito. So fogging alone would not be sufficient, so they need to be done in combination with one another. Alright, because as I would have said, fogging deals with the adult mosquitoes, so source reduction is also very important.
The public health supervisor said while fogging will kill the adult mosquito, there are some associated challenges.
When you're fogging, the chemical has to be in direct contact with the adult mosquito for it to also be effective, right? So when we're fogging, we're gonna encourage persons to open up as well when we're coming in the area so that the fog will be able to take effect. But it's also important to know that fogging alone of itself will not be effective because there are a number of implications and a number of issues with it. As would have said, there's problems with resistance, it has to be in direct contact with it, and then it also deals with the adult mosquitoes that's present. And if persons are breeding mosquitoes on their premises, once they go from the aquatic stage to the terrestrial stage, which is the adults, then it goes from one stage to the next, so then you will still have problems with the adult mosquito, all right? Because we're not able to fog every area every week, because that's how long it takes the mosquito cycle to complete, within a week. So it's very important that you prevent mosquitoes from breeding onto your premises, prevent them from breeding on your compound by eliminating all water sources. If you have a water source and you don't need to use it, it's best that you turn it down until you do need it.
Vector Control Inspector Osborne King has called on the entire population to take responsibility for their health and the environment.
Upon my inspections, there are many difficult challenges and some are very easy as well. The public, I would like to understand that, it is a shared responsibility with us, the vector control, and you yourself. We cannot do it by ourselves. The information that we give you basically is to help both you and I. I just want to put that out there. The difficulties which we have with people outside is when they're telling you that you have to go to the river, you have to go and check the gutter, you have to go and check all these places. But really and truly, it starts with yourself. It starts at your home. You need to take the responsibility and make sure that your home and surrounding is safe and clean as much as possible to prevent all pests, not only mosquitoes, even though that is the main focal point, from breeding around our home.
SVG on Friday recorded preliminary positive results for 2 new COVID-19 cases. Both new cases have intentions to return to the state on Saturday, September 5th from the British Virgin Islands with negative PCR results. A release from the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, said both persons were tested 6 days after arrival as part of the protocol for persons traveling from high-risk countries such as the BVI. It said that all of the passengers who arrived on American Airlines 945 on Saturday, September 5th, 2020, presented negative when a PCR test for SARS-CoV-2 on day 5. The release said that there was no Air Canada flight on Thursday, September 10th, 2020. SVG has now recorded a total of 64 COVID-19 cases, 61 of whom have recovered. There are now 3 active COVID-19 cases in the country. NEMO said these new cases from the BVI emphasize the importance of strictly enforcing all of the protocols, including the quarantine orders and testing that are designed to protect all Vincentians. The NEMO news release pointed to the hard work that has been put in over the past 5 months to contain any possible spread of COVID-19 by aggressive testing and quarantine enforcement, and stressed the need for persons entering SVG to comply with all of these measures in order to avoid rising levels of COVID-19 as is being experienced in other Caribbean countries. In other news, the Bookament-based secondary school is still not ready for the resumption of classes, so said the president of the SVG Teachers Union, Oswald Robinson, after a follow-up visit to determine the readiness of the facility for the resumption of school. After an extended vacation due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, schools across the state reopened a week ago. Last week, the union's president said the Bookament-based secondary school was not ready as construction construction work was still being carried out. And due to COVID-19, schools have been designated as bubbles and provide a level of protection to children as well as the teaching and support staff. The union's president said the ongoing construction work, along with a tuck shop not being in operation, poses a health and security risk.
The workers have a lot of materials being stored in a particular room at the school. So they can't be doing this work at the same time while school is going on, because they have to be moving materials from that room to the workstation. The other situation has to do with food for the children. The children depend on the school for providing meals. And if the tuck shop is not in operation, then you're creating a situation where these students could wander off to other places, you know, and it has a lot to do with the security and the protection of our children. The school feeding rooms at the back, they are not really ready yet, you know, in terms of what we have observed.
For the past few weeks, dengue infections has been on the increase, and Robinson said the presence of blocked drains is an issue of concern.
Of the school, there is a drain there that is blocked. There's already water settled there, and we are in the height of the dengue fever issue. So that water is not flowing properly to enter into the river. There is a river defense that is being constructed currently. And also there is no fencing at the back of the school. And you can't have students on a compound and expect that there's no fencing at the back. And there's a river behind it. That is a river that has a history of killing people, you know. And when you raise these issues, people take it and make it a partisan political issue. It has nothing to do with that. You know, as a trade union, you have to address these matters because they are affecting working conditions of teachers, of whom the teachers union represent.
Robinson said the union is calling on the authorities to ensure that the school is complete before allowing students and teachers to return.
Use this opportunity to appeal to the parents to call on the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Transport and Works to make sure that they accomplish the building, because the students of Form 4 and 5, they rely on that for home economics. So they are already a week behind. So it brings you back to the point where we had asked that you complete the building, allow the students and teachers to remain at home and complete the building, rather than stopping the work in the middle of the week and say you're going to continue the weekend, you know. So that is a matter that needs to be addressed with urgency.
Meanwhile, the teachers union president said the conditions under which students and teachers at the Beckway Community High School operate is unacceptable. His comments follows a recent visit to the school to ascertain the readiness of the facility for the new school year. Robinson said along with the absence of fencing, there are sanitary and structural issues which need to be addressed immediately.
You're smelling the remains of animals at the back of the school. You're seeing the droppings there. There is no proper drainage at the back of the school. You're actually seeing some old steps at the back of the school which are being detached from the building itself. So there is some kind of structural problem there. Then you're seeing louvers being vandalized because it's not fenced. You know, I see people nailing up board to, you know, in the area where the louvers are supposed to be there. Those louvers needs to be replaced. As a matter of fact, that building did not appear to be properly sanitized, because you see stains which seem like it's from a very, very long time. Those louvers are not clean. They're dirty, very dirty. You know, you see doors where people are using pieces of blocks to jam the door. The front door of the school. If you look at these pictures, you would see you can't have students operating under these conditions and teachers. It's really, really, you know, unsatisfactory.
The union president said the conditions at the school are negatively impacting the psyche of the students and teachers. Robinson stressed that the union is not highlighting these issues to score political points, but to ensure the improvement of conditions for teachers and students.
But when you left a school, especially the major section, the fourth section of the school where you're entering, I mean, it's really shameful to have a school being run down, deteriorated to that it becomes a sore point, you know. And these are areas sometimes the children don't have to play and relax. And you go into a school and somebody see a school looking like that, it impacts on the children's psyche. And the teachers who occupy those schools also. So all we are saying to the authorities, the reason why we are showing up this so that the rest of the public would understand, is that the authorities would really expedite the improvement of these schools. That's all we're saying. We are not cussing anybody. We're not getting into anybody's political bandwagon or whatever. That's all that we're doing.
The ULP candidate for North Leeward, Carlos James, said the upcoming general elections is significant for the youth of SVG, particularly those of North Leeward. James has urged the youth to vote for him so that he could continue his work in the constituency. He was speaking at the launch of the party's North Leeward Youth Am on Saturday evening.
In my work continuously in the last 5 years, in this constituency, in every community. You have seen through my charity Generation Next, sending over 100 students off to the community college, assisting them with bursaries. You have seen me in every community putting my mark down and showing you what representation means. I do not want you, the young people of North Leeward, the next generation of leaders, to be shortchanged about what representation is. For 10 years, we have not had a real representative in this constituency.
Noting that over $2 million have been spent on sports development for the youths in North Leeward, James outlined other plans he has for the constituency if elected.
We'll go to Petitbedel and put in place a multi-purpose facility that is going to offer and provide programs for our young people for training in vocational and technical programs. Because before you address the issue of unemployment, you have to address the issue of training. How many of our young people are without subjects or without the basic fundamental skills? We have to prepare you for the world of work. Then you go over to Chateaubriand. There is an agro-processing facility that we have secured grant funding to put in place, start again training for our young people. We are going to put that into Chateaubriand. We move to the fisheries complex. Just today I visited that facility with a potential investor, and we are also considering putting in place a processing plant where we can package our seafood and export out of North Leeward. We have to focus on remedial programs as well in Tromuka, in Rosebank, in Coleshill, in Petitbedel, in Spring Village.
James told the gathering that he understands the struggles of the youth in the constituency, hence the reason he got actively involved in politics.
Is to be a marginalized youth. And it is because of my struggles as a young person that I've made that solemn decision to get myself involved in the process that can transform the lives of you, the people of North Leeward. To get myself immersed and involved in your future development, to work with you, to provide the opportunities for you, the young people of this constituency. I am going to work tirelessly and in your favor to provide the opportunities for you as young person.
Party leader, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves said the Unity Labour Party is the natural party of governance in SVG and is seeking a fifth term in office based on its record of transforming the country.
Political party in our history has done as well for the poor, for the disadvantaged, for the workers, the farmers, the civil servants, the women, the sportsmen, the cultural artists, the business people, people of all walks of life, because we are a national party. We have changed the country in a way that persons who come back from overseas after 20 years can't believe their eyes.
PM Gonsalves said the ULP administration has transformed SVG's economy from colonial to post-colonial in the best interest of all Vincentians.
When the bottom dropped out of the banana economy in the 1990s, the NDP was not prepared for anything. We had to transform the economy into a serious economy providing services. Tourism services, professional services, services in the field of insurance and banking. But to do those things, you needed a jet airport in Canawan and an international airport at Argyle, and you needed an education revolution.
Noting that they have set the base for continued growth and prosperity, Dr. Gonsalves said it is for this reason that the ULP deserves a fifth term in office.
You need a man who is an experienced driver. You don't put a captain on the rough seas who just learning his trade. Friday doesn't even know how to read the compass properly. He has no plan, making it up as you go along. That is why Eustace has honestly answered when they ask him about his 10-year plan, his 5-year plan. You see, ask Ralph. So we have the plan, and we have the vision, and we have the policies and the programs. We have the quality candidates, including Carlos, and we have the leadership. And that is the way I come to you to ask for your support yet again for a fifth consecutive term.
Agriculture Minister Suboto Caesar is predicting an increase in production in 2021. Speaking during a virtual discussion program on the issue of food security and managing the impacts of COVID-19, hosted by the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, the ECCB, Minister Caesar said this increase will be possible because of an infusion of significant amounts of capital through grants, as well as the distribution of livestock and seedlings and the creation of an internal market for farmers through the Love Box initiative.
5,000 farmers receiving $500 EC to ensure that the bills are taken care of. Because the farmers you have an average. I visited one of the buying depots, and a farmer spoke to me. He is receiving approximately $1,000 per week by selling food to the Love Box initiative. So you have that internal circulation of capital which definitely that farmer now can go and purchase fertilizer. And recently, we had a shipment of fertilizer coming to the country. Before the pandemic, that same shipment of fertilizer will take 8 weeks to be sold. Because of the increase in the movement of goods through the lockbox program and the demand for export to the sub-region, that lasted less than 48 hours.
The Agriculture Minister said because of the government support programs and other initiatives, many persons are returning to the land.
Where a lot of persons who were working in the services sector, because they're from rural areas, they are now heading back to agriculture. Similarly, you will have some persons who are from Grenville in Grenada who are working in St. George's. All they knew growing up was agriculture, but they have a security job in St. George's. And because of the pandemic, the hotel may be closed or have low occupancy and they're laid off. They can easily fit in to the agriculture sector, and we're seeing them purchasing their implements, receiving assistance from the $12 million stimulus package, and they are increasing production and productivity. So we can project that in 2021, because of the repositioning of capital and labor to focus on agriculture that took place as a resultant implication of the COVID-19 pandemic, that we are going to have an increase in production in 2021.
The police have charged one person in connection with an incident which occurred at Dixon last Friday night that resulted in the death of a teenager. According to a police report, Kai Fraser, 18, succumbed to his injuries at the Georgetown Medical Complex after he was stabbed during an altercation with another man said to be his neighbor. Veron Boucher, a 29-year-old farmer of Dixon, has been charged with the stabbing death of Fraser. He is expected to appear in the Serious Offences Court tomorrow, Tuesday, September 15, for arraignment.